Hello, good evening. Thank you for being here. My name is Tegshjargal Bayar. I'm from Mongolia, second year student of German State Theological College. Today, I want to take you behind the scenes, not to the actors or stunts, but to something far less visible, yet incredibly important, to the environmental impact of film industry. We all love movies. They inspire us, entertain us, and sometimes even change the way we see the world. But what we don't really see is what it takes to create that movie magic and the hidden cost it can have on our environment. So today, let's pull back the curtain and explore the environmental footprint of film production and what's being done or could be done to make the silver screen a little greener. Okay, now imagine this. You are sitting in a dark theater, popcorn in your hand, hair raising as the opening scene of blockbuster explodes into the screen, the lights flickers, the sound booms, and you have completely immersed in the action. But as you lean in, have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what's the environmental cost of that explosion? Today, we are driving into the environmental impact of Hollywood films. Especially, we are looking at the carbon footprint behind these cinematic spectacles. Here's something you might not know. The average big-budget Hollywood film produces up to 2,840 tons of carbon. To put that in perspective, that's equivalent to the yearly emission of about 600 cars. It's not just the set, it's everything. The carbon footprint comes from everywhere. Cross-country flights, diesel generators, enormous lighting rigs. It's like putting on a concert every day for 6 months. Sets are often built from scratch, used for just few scenes and then trashed. Thousands of tons of materials end up in landfills every year. Fun fact, the set for The Hobbit is used so much polystyrene, a plastic that never biodegrades, it could have filled an entire football field. Now, when we think about movie sets, we often picture beautiful red carpets, star-studded casts, and breathtaking special effects. But behind that beauty, there is a less beautiful reality: waste. In fact, the amount of trash generated on a typical movie set is staggering. A big-budget film can produce up to 275 tons of waste. To put that in perspective, that's about the same amount of waste that 20 rich households would generate in an entire year. What's even more troubling, only a small fraction of that waste actually gets recycled. The rest, it ends up in landfills. And we are not talking about small amounts. This includes everything from discarded props to single-use plastics. It's a serious environmental issue, often overlooked in the pursuit of the perfect shot. And here is a shocking fact for you. One blockbuster film used over 10,000 plastic water bottles in just one production. Imagine the amount of waste that accumulates across an entire franchise. It's a hidden cost of movie making that we can no longer ignore. Now, if you think the environmental cost of filmmaking is limited to waste, think again. Movie productions are not only wasteful, but they are also incredibly energy hungry and carbon heavy. A major studio film can release over 3,000 metric tons of carbon into the atmosphere. To put that in perspective, that's the same amount of carbon emission as driving 650 cars for an entire year. What drives this carbon load? On the location shoots, the need for air travel, massive lighting setups, and gas-powered generators all contribute to the problem. But here's the kicker. Even streaming content, something many of us do daily, has its own carbon footprint. Data centers that store and stream fields consume massive amounts of electricity, which often comes from non-renewable sources. And to drive this point home, let's look at some hard facts. In 2020, film and TV production in Los Angeles alone emitted 260,000 tons of carbon. And keep in mind, that was a slow year because of COVID-19. Just imagine how much more emissions are generated during a normal production cycle. Now let's take a brief look at growing hub from film production, Egyek. A small town near Budapest in Hungary. It's often referred to as Egyekwood because of this booming film industry. One of the standout attractions here is Corda Studios, which opened 2007. It's now one of the largest and most advanced film studios in Europe, named after Sir Alexander Korda, a Hungarian-born Hollywood director. The studio has become a major player on the global film stage. Some of the biggest blockbusters have been shot here, including The Martian, Blade Runner, Dune, and Hellboy. So why has Egyek become such a hotspot for filmmakers? Its combination factors: generous tax incentives, experienced local crews, proximity to Budapest, and of course its stunning landscape that make it an ideal location for big budget production. While Hungary is rapidly becoming a popular destination for international film production, the environmental costs are significant, just like in any major filmmaking hub. Productions here can emit up 3,000 tons of carbon, which has direct impact on air quality, contributing to global warming. But it's not just emission. The construction of sets and transportation required for these productions also leads to high energy consumptions and waste generation. If not managed sustainably, this waste can have even more severe consequences. Set building and transport can cause soil and water contamination, harming the local environment and ecosystems. In fact, in 2023, international production spent nearly 1 billion filming in Hungary, making it a key player in the global film industry. Budapest has even become stand-in for major cities in Hollywood films, further adding to its popularity as filming location. But the environmental impact is not just about carbon emission. Air pollution worsens issues, while noise and waste affect local communities and ecosystems. This side effect can be detrimental to the long-term health of both the environment and the people living in the area. However, the area local solutions emerging, Origo Studios, for example, has invested in energy-efficient brigades to reduce its carbon footprint. Meanwhile, initiatives like Green Film Lab and Zero Carbon focus on training filmmakers on sustainable practice and offsetting carbon emission, making strides towards a more sustainable future for the film industry. So here is a major film shot in Hungary. Shortly, Blade Runner, Dune, and Martian, Red Sparrow, and so on. Change is happening. Disney isn't just creating magical worlds on screen, they are also working to protect the real one. On many of their productions, the studio has swapped traditional diesel fuel to biodiesel, a cleaner, renewable energy source made from things like vegetable oil and animal fat. This which helps cut emissions from set and generators without sacrificing the magic we can love on screen. In fact, on Pirates Oh, sorry. Okay, fun fact. On Pirates of the Caribbean, at world ends, biodiesel was used to power marine vessels and equipment, making it one of the first Disney productions to experiment with cleaner fuel. Netflix is more than just endless content, it's planning a greener future. The company has pledged to achieve net zero emission by 2025, meaning every show, movie, and documentary will have a smaller environmental footprint. They're reducing internal emissions, supporting renewable energy, and investing in ecosystem restoration to offset their remaining impact. As a one fun fact, Don't Look Up Netflix hit Climate Scare was produced with sustainability in mind. It used low emission transport and locally sourced materials, aligning the film's message with its methods. Here is a sustainable practice set. Some simple yet powerful changes are making a big impact on reducing film production's environmental footprint. Firstly, switch to LED lighting. LEDs use up to 80% less energy than traditional tungsten or halogen lights, and they last longer too. The swap can drastically reduce electricity use on set while maintaining cinematic quality lighting. Secondly, use digital backdrops. Instead of travel virtual production technologies like the volume, allow filmmakers to create entire worlds digitally, eliminating the need for travel. This reduces both carbon emissions and energy consumptions. Thirdly, build reusable sets. Reusing set pieces across different productions saves materials, energy, and transportation costs. It also cuts down on waste when filming ends. Okay, why this matters? Movies don't just entertain us, they shape us. They tell us who we are and who we can be. If the film industry goes green, it sends a powerful global message. Caring for the planet isn't a subplot, it's the main story. Binge watching might seem harmless, but every click, stream, and autoplay has a hidden cost. Behind platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Disney Plus are massive data centers that run 24/7, consuming huge amounts of electricity to keep content flowing. Streaming 30 minutes of video generates around 1.6 kilograms of carbon. That's the same as driving a gas car for nearly 6 kilometers. As we demand more high-resolution content, 4K, HDR, and endless episodes, the energy required to store and deliver those files skyrockets, making streaming a far bigger environmental burden than we realize. Your choices have power. We have the power to change the industry with our choices. Every time you stream, support, or share content, you are sharing what the future of entertainment looks like. Your voice matters, your views matters. Let's make sustainability a part of the storyline and create greener and more responsible future for film and media. Solutions. The audience role, you're part of the story. You don't need a camera or director's chair to make a difference. As an audience, your choices have real power in shaping a more sustainable future for the film industry. Here's how can you help? Support eco-conscious films and studios. Secondly, stream smarter. Thirdly, advocate for greener productions. The credits are rolling, but the story isn't over. Be conscious, be curious, be part of the plot twist. The film industry's power, imagine the positive environmental change it could create if we all play a part in shaping its future. Okay, here's my personal movie recommendations for greener future. First, we have WALL-E, an animated classic that reminds us of remind us of that importance of sustainability, setting future where the Earth has been abandoned due to environmental neglect. Secondly, Avatar. James Cameron's groundbreaking film set on the lush alien world of Pandora, which highlights themes of environment destruction and the importance of protecting nature. Thirdly, we have Inconvenient Truth. This movie brought global attention to the dangers of climate change, urging people to take action for the planet's future. Lastly, Okja, director Bong Joon-ho, a thought-provoking film that addressed the dark side of industrial farming and its impact on both the environment and animal welfare. Here is oh, sorry. Now I have some inspirational quick video, so please pay attention.
We're facing a man-made disaster of global scale, our greatest threat in thousands of years, climate change. If we don't take action, the collapse of our civilizations and the extinction of much of the natural world is on the horizon. The world's people have spoken. Their message is clear. Time is running out. The amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere now is 50% higher than it was in 1990. And not only are we piling in more and more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, but we are chopping down the forests of the earth at a great rate. And the forests themselves are the most efficient consumers of carbon dioxide that there are on Earth. We're going to destroy the ground because the soil of a rainforest isn't very good. We are actually tampering with the climate of the Earth and the very atmosphere that we breathe. When we talk about the disappearance of the ozone layer, we don't know what will happen when the ozone layer goes. The world has become so fragile that we cannot subject the Earth to the tortures we can now inflict upon it. When we talk about the greenhouse effect, we're talking about something that affects the entire Earth. And these problems are life and death problems. They go to the root of the viability of the planet itself. So if there's one thing that is biologically certain about the human species is that it is a human species, one species.
If we don't stop the destruction of our natural world, nothing else will matter. Simply put, if we don't protect nature, we can't protect ourselves.
The only way we can solve a problem is by a human solution. Never can we sit back and wait for miracles to save us. Miracles don't happen. Sweat happens. Efforts happens. Thought happens.
Okay, thank you. This presentation is made by a huge fan of movie industry, but more importantly, a person who lives on Earth. And happy birthday.